Now it's starting. So I wanted to show you, if you didn't know, when you go to find your images for your paintings and for your references, you can go into your search options. If you go to Image, American Gothic, Search. All right, now you have all these, and it's really hard sometimes to tell which ones are good quality. You can look down here, right there, it shows the number. You can also go into Tools and Size, type in large or larger than, and that way it will only show you images that are larger. So then you have a better range to choose from, because you don't want to put a picture into your file and then it gets all pixely from the get-go. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I'm going to start a new document. So this is something else new that we need to think about, because this is the first assignment that we're making in order to print. Remember, we're going to print these out onto paper. So we need to consider what colors we're using. Now, I don't know if you remember this thing that I showed you at the beginning. We were talking about colors, different color theories. Maybe we talked about how all color is actually white and the absence of color is black, even though that's opposite in painting and things. We've been using RGB, which is a light-based color theory, meaning that all the colors mix together to make white right here for the screen. And that's great for web and digital, because that's how the monitors work, and it makes it translate really easily. Since we're going to be printing them, we need to use CMYK, which is based around ink. So what this will do is it will translate our images to the printer a lot easier, because the printer will know how to make all the colors we want. Layering pink ink over blue ink over yellow ink to make black. We also have black. But does that make sense? K is black. So how do we do that? When I start a new document, first things first, I'm going to go over here to print, because I want to print things. Remember, we're printing these. Print good. Letter, 8.5 by 11, that's fine. Okay? You can just make these 8.5 by 11 size. We want it to be portrait right here, unless your painting is landscape, which is horizontal. Keep it portrait up and down. This is what I was just talking about. See how it says RGB color right here? Click the little drop down, change it to CMYK. If you're confused about this, just call me over and I can help you make sure you're all set up right. And then 16-bit is good, 300 pixels per inch, all that is fine, fine. Happy. You can even change the title of it right here before you even start, so you don't have to do that later. Good? Ready to create. I have my blank document. I'm going to start by putting my base painting. I'm dragging it into my image. Now, this is still really small, so I have to, but it opened up with a transform box around it. I'm going to click, hold down Shift, remember, to keep the proportions accurate, and drag and open. Now it looks really pixely. I have to hit Enter to make sure that it's right. That was a bad quality image. So now I have to try and find another one. Okay, delete. Let's see. That's why I kept this up, just in case I needed to try again. Let's try this one. You think so? You know so? Awesome. I love learning new things. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Thank you, Chad. Because what it was doing is I was transferring over just the thumbnail and not the actual image, right? Awesome. There we go. Happy. Now, it didn't happen. I just want to take a moment to remind you, if there's a little gray box over here, right down in there, that means it's a smart object and you need to rasterize. A lot of you have been dealing with that, right? Little gray box. Make sure that there's no gray box over here in this image on your layer one. Okay, we have our background, which is our painting. Now we need the picture of yourself. So your pictures are on that flash drive, and we'll pass that around so you can get that off. I took this picture of myself that I'm going to put into her face. Hello. This is obviously too big. First thing I need to do is get rid of the background and then resize it. I'm actually going to drag it a little bit for now. Enter. Who remembers, how do I get rid of the background? Which tool do I use? You remember? Yeah?
I think it's that use it only snakes. It's that patch tool.
We will be using the patch tool soon. But right now, when we're cutting out the background, we want to use this quick selection tool, right? To grab an area really quickly. Yeah. So you can work two ways. You can either delete the background or you can select the face. I'm going to select the face. Right here, I'm on minus, so I need to be on plus. I'm going to quickly try to grab my head as much as my head as I can. And then I'm going to actually use this minus to go back and erase details I don't need. I don't really need my hair. I could decide that maybe I wanted to use my hair, but I'm just going to use her hair in the painting. I also don't really need this. Oh, that'll be good. What do you think? Looks pretty good. Don't really need some of this. I'm just using the edge to kind of crop my face in close. Okay, that'll be fine. Go up to select, inverse. All of this shouldn't, none of this should be new. We've been using this. Haha, it happened. So you get this. What do I have to do? Rasterize it first. So I have that little square box of doom. Right click, rasterize layer. Now I can do it. There I am. It's kind of creepy. Oh, hello. Hi. All right. So what I'm going to do now is try to fit my face onto her face as closely as I physically can. And this is really important right now because we're actually going to be taking information from her skin tone to put onto my skin tone. And if they don't match up right, it's going to make it really annoying. So we're going to try to get it as close as possible. The way that I'm going to do that, I'm going to deselect this for now. I'm going to change the opacity of my layer. Does anyone know what opacity means? Yes, Emma. Oh. Chad, you want to take it? The transparency. So how see-through it is, okay? Now, you can deal with opacity in specific tools like the brush tool, or you can make an entire layer itself have different levels of opacity. If I select my face layer, that's me, right around here, this is all my tools for layer transformations. If I click opacity and turn it down to like, I don't know, 50, I start to disappear, okay? This is gonna be good because now I can see what's underneath, but still have control. Also kind of creepy. Hello. Oh, that would be really creepy.
Just like shrink away.
Hello. All right, I gotta keep going. Hello. Okay. So I'm hitting Command T for free transform, opening it up a little bit. I'm just gonna enter so it's not quite as pixely, and then I'm gonna try to set it on her face.
Oh, wow, that's really weird.
I know it's already working pretty well, huh? Apply. I'm gonna get closer so I can see a little bit better. Now, what I notice is, so kind of a cool image, is that my face is a little bit more tilted. I can also bring back up my opacity at any time to see how I'm doing. What I'm gonna do is Command T, rotate it a little bit to sneak it around, and I'm looking at her nose, I'm looking at her lips, and I'm looking at her eyes. Now, obviously, her face is gonna be a little bit of a different shape than mine. I think my eyes are farther apart than hers. Her eyes are really close together. But that's okay. Get it as close as you can, and then we're going to do some finagling. I can even like skinny out my face a little bit if I need to, but try to keep your face as accurate as possible to your actual face. What do you think? Is that pretty good? Okay. Okay, enter. Now, this is the magic moment. So I'm going to turn my opacity back on. My neck is a little off, but that's okay. I can just use her neck, I guess. My skin coloring is very different from the painting. And you'll notice that. It's a lot more red, right? There's this tool that I just discovered that I love, and it's using a layer controller that will then take the color from the layer behind and apply it to my face. So it makes me seem like I'm fitting into the image almost instantly. And what I do is I go here, see how this says normal? I'm going to go down all the way down to the bottom, making sure that I have my face layer connected. I'm going to hit luminosity, okay? So now you can see it more on my computer screen, but see how yellow it made me because her skin tone was really yellow? The skin tone of your painting is different than that, then it's going to be a different color. But what it's doing is it's picking the color up from behind. Now, areas that are not the skin tone of the face, that are different, like the background, see how that's blue? I'm going to have to deal with that now, but that's okay. But that's why you need to line it up really well. Otherwise, it's going to take the wrong information forward. So, what else do I have to do? I have to clean up around my edges. I'm just going to use my eraser tool with this layer selected. I'm going to bring my hardness really far down so it has a nice soft edge. You all kind of did this with your hybrid animal, right, to make the background disappear. I'm going to, it's almost like painting. I'm just going to sneak away, making it look like that's my hair. If you erase too much, then just go back. Maybe I'll even use her ear. Yeah. And you can decide how much of what you want to use. I'm going to use her neck too, if I can. Yeah, because I think it'll line up better. She has a very long neck. Apparently. How does that look? Now, I didn't have, actually, yeah. So, her, actually, that's just like a jowl. I think that this line right here is a little distracting. I feel like it's a mistake, so I'm going to get rid of it. And the way that I'm going to do it is by using that clone stamp tool that Felicia told us to use on the background layer. Clone, right here, this little stamp guy. Grab Alt to grab some of that neck, and I'm just going to bring this shadow up a little bit. This is going to become very painterly, all right? There's not one exact way to do it, but you kind of have to play it by ear and do whatever you need to do to make your painting look realistic. Also, I noticed there's a little bit extra over here with this house. I'm gonna try to sneak that over. Yeah. I could spend a lot of time trying to make these lines perfect, and I would if I wasn't giving you a demo right now. Okay. Something else that's new and kind of weird, but it's important. See these blue lines that kind of make it look like I'm dying or hefted over here? I want to make that color normal again. And if I remember, but actually, to an extent, he has some of those blue lines in his face too, so they're not that off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of her face. Oh, hello. And I'm going to, so that it will match. Let me do it first. I take a paintbrush tool, I take a regular brush, and make it a little bit bigger, or not, okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to grab a portion of her face, or my face, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to, oh, all layers, use my brush, let's see if this works. Yeah, so what I did is if you hit, okay, when I talked about this being how you manipulate the properties of layers, this is how you manipulate properties of tools. If I click brush and I have it on as normal, like how we've been using it, I'm gonna draw directly onto the painting, right? Okay. What you can do is if you hit color, what it's gonna do is it's not going to change the values at all, so it's not gonna paint over the information. It's just gonna change the color that what's there. It's actually a pretty cool tool. So if I go in and I can just change the color of her hair to be more like the color of her skin. Do you see that? It's really subtle. I can change the color of her eyes to be like the color of her skin because I have this skin color selected. Why that matters is now I'm going to start getting rid of this gray. I'm still drawing on this layer, but I'm on this one. I have that open so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to draw that in. Now, this is important around her my eyes because otherwise there would be like some weird blue spotches when her eyes don't line up. This is important around my mouth because maybe I want to use this kind of like a plum color. So now I'm going to take this eyedropper tool and use my brush coloring to make, see how I can make her whole face that color? That's not what I want on my face, but I can localize that area to my lips so it doesn't look like I just ate like a big like snow cone or something. Maybe that's too much. Maybe now it kind of looks to me like I'm wearing really intense lipstick. I'm going to go back to my flesh. I'm going to make my opacity and flow a little softer so it's not as dramatic. And I'm just kind of painting it back in like I would like put on blush or something. It's kind of like makeup. I'm kind of digitally putting makeup on my face. Now I could do the same thing too for my eyes to make them a different color. There's one more thing that I want to show you that's wrong about this painting and how to fix it. What's wrong about me in this painting right now? A lot of things. But what's wrong about my face? Let me see. Doesn't really go for some reason.
Your eyes.
The eyes might be a little bit too far, yeah. But what do you think about my face versus his face versus the rest of the painting?
Your head top part is not really in.
Not good? It's too realistic? What about it that's realistic? Yeah, it doesn't have the right texture. It's like really, really smooth. But in the rest of the painting, it's like, this is a weird one because it's kind of spotty. But some of you are going to have oil paintings that are really old, so they have like cracks in them. Some of you have abstract paintings that might have like paint brush strokes, right? So we're going to have to, for each individual painting, we're going to have to apply a different tool and a different strategy. Yep.
So like the one I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
is Mona Lisa.
Exactly. There's a lot of cracks.
I know, but
We'll figure it out.
Really?
I'm going to keep going. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be great. If you get up really close, you'll notice them. What I'm going to do for this is I'm going to play around with some tools such as maybe grabbing a brush that's like really speckly like this and trying to change, I don't know if that'll work. Just see how I'm starting to add some speckles to it? I'm going to play around with this, maybe add some highlights back into it too with some bright tones. There's also, remember when you were given the opportunity to manipulate your photos in the filter gallery? Why doesn't it let me go there? Oh. Cancel. I feel like it's being slow. Noise. Maybe noise will add noise. You can play around with some of these. Oh, actually, I want to do it on this layer. That's why. Add noise. Okay, so see how that kind of started to change it? It doesn't look realistic yet, but this is what I'm going to fill around with, trying to make it look really realistic. If you have one of those cracked paintings, there's something else that you can do that's really cool, and you can find an image of cracked ground or a texture that seems to mirror the texture of your painting. Drag that on here. I know that the rest of the painting doesn't have cracks, but I'm going to make it have cracks for right now. Pretend that it has cracks, okay? I'm going to put it on like that. Okay. I'm going to make it a rasterized layer. And now I'm going to change my layer type to, I believe, soft light. Yep, and I'm going to change my opacity down a little bit, like that. And see how you can start to like overlay textures on top of your painting, on top of your images? You could do something like that. And then you would just delete out the extra on the side, erasing that. So, does anyone have any questions about this? Are you guys ready to start on your own? Yeah. The flash drive is going to go around, and you're going to just grab your images off, because some of you have a couple options. We're going to look at the options, decide which one is best for your painting, and then pass it on to the next person. Yep, we're good. Thank you. Remember, save your file as a CMYK file when you start.